Okay, so welcome everybody to Epilepsy South Africa webinar on epilepsy in youth on this wonderful off cold Johannesburg day. I'm Charlene Castle, National Director of Epilepsy South Africa, the only epilepsy organization in South Africa nationally that serves people with epilepsy. And we have branches around the country, 6 branches in 6 of the different provinces. And yeah, very proud to be part of the organization. I'd like to welcome Helena Booth with us, who's with us this afternoon, and Lucy Mokanyama. I hope I pronounced your surname correctly, Lucy. So welcome, ladies. It's wonderful for you to have you with us today. A little bit about Lucy. Lucy is a recipient of our Epilepsy South Africa bursary, educational trust. She's currently got a bursary. I'm going to let her introduce herself. She started epilepsy when she was 15, so a number of years ago. Helena started epilepsy a number of years ago as well, and she's got a wonderful story to share. And I think people get used to me sharing as well. I have had epilepsy my whole life, actually since I was 8 years old, so not since I was born. And I share a lot about my lived experience as well. Today is about youth and epilepsy. And with that, I'm going to ask Helena just to introduce herself, say hi, and yeah, over to you, Helena. Welcome.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
All good.
All right. I'm Helena. I am 25. I got my bachelor's in education, and I'm now teaching at an inclusive school. So we specialize in neurological disorders.
Okay, wonderful. Welcome, Helena. Lucy.
Hi, I'm Lucy, and since they already mentioned, I've been living with epilepsy for 16 years now. Got diagnosed when I was 13, 14. I I'm a recipient of their educational fund. I've received it before, and I'm loving the fact that they are not giving up on me until I finish my degree. I'm studying become marketing management with UNISA, and I work at Isazi Consulting as a data capturer.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lucy, and it's wonderful to have you with us. So let me jump in and let me just start by just framing it as that today's conversation is about how does epilepsy affect you as part of the youth in South Africa. And really, we're going to talk about how that affects your lifestyle, how it affects you socially, how it affects you emotionally, because there's really a vast conversation to be had. So I'm going to jump right in and ask Lucy if you can just spend 5 or so minutes and really share with us, since your epilepsy started, how it has affected you, what type of seizures you had. Just give us the whole picture and also share with us stories about how your immediate support circle, your family, your close friends have managed with your epilepsy. So yeah, over to you, Lucy.
I was diagnosed when I was 14, but then I started having signs, I think when I was like 13, 12. I'll just fall and not be able to explain it. My seizures don't take long. So like I'll just fall for a few seconds and then I'm up, but I would not be able to explain what happened. And then we spent for like a year or two not knowing what's going on. I think I was in grade 7 and I was 13 at that time. And a year and a half or almost 2 years, we didn't know what was it or what was happening. And we just call it a thing. And my mom and my dad were just not giving up on finding out what's wrong with me. They would ask, they would tell their friends. And then one of their friends told them to take me to a neurologist, and that's where I got diagnosed. And then I was in high school now, so yeah, I think that's where things started being, yeah, because in high school you're a teenager, you're changing. Now you have epilepsy to deal with. It was not yet manageable, so I would fall at school. That affected my self-esteem a lot. It affected my confidence. I started being antisocial because people would laugh. People didn't understand what was going on, and I was not yet managed. Even though I was taking medication, it was not. It was still trial and errors. Because as an epileptic person, you'd know that they do a lot of trial and errors with the drug. They don't just find what helps you at first go. So during that time, it was very hectic for me. As like I'm just gonna be open because we are young here. You're at that time you're dating, and then you date someone for like a month or so, or a week, and then they disappear. When you try to find out what's going on, they're like, no, they were told that you were sick. So those type of things affected me a lot, that people would choose to distance themselves from me. And then now I was isolating myself even more because people were just, don't go there, don't go there. But then I did have my friends. I think the one person my best friend I met her. We started being too close in high school. There was grade 8. During that time where I needed people around me, she was there. Even today, she's still there. And my parents just never gave up on me or gave up on taking me to the doctors. One thing that I liked about my mom or my parents per se, they'll take me, like every time the doctors tell them that if she falls, you should record, that they would give us books. So I would record if I fall. And then, or they would sometimes tell her that I mustn't fall this many times without her taking me back to the doctor, because this is a trial and error period. So I have to go to the doctor to tell them that no, the pills that I was given are not working. So we would go back like weekly or 2 weekly. We went to the hospital a lot of times until I was on medication that managed the epilepsy. And then now it's been 8 to 7 years and is as controlled as a controlled. Yeah, I don't know how to put it, but now it's been like
That's
8 to 7 years, and it's controlled. I'm no longer having fever, and I think for it to be 8 years, it could have been more. It's during when I had my firstborn, that during that pregnancy, when you are hormonal, things change. Like there's an imbalance in your system. So I got fits during that time before I gave birth to my son. But I think how it has affected me, it should definitely the fact that I lacked a lot of self-esteem. I became um, antisocial, and I had like lack of confidence. But right now I'm a lot better. As you can see, I can talk. Right now I'm a lot better. I took control of my life, and having the support of Epilepsy SA, having the support of my parents, my siblings, my partner, my kids, like just being in control of your life and knowing that epilepsy doesn't define you. The disease, the condition is not who you are. Your goals are still valid. Your dreams are still valid. You just don't succumb to it as now you're labeled epileptic and you cannot do this, you cannot do that. I'm 30 years old, I'm turning 31 this year. Someone would be like, why are you still in school? I'm fighting, I want my degree. I want to show that, I'm still the same person. I'm still the same smart kid. Because I remember when I was in primary and high school, I was very smart. I'd get awards and stuff like that. So I'm still the same person. I just want that to still be. And even now, when I'm writing or when I'm in it, like I'm writing assessments and stuff like that, I still get distinction. So am I taking time?
No, it's fine.
So,
I'm gonna jump in now, and I'm going to just ask you and just maybe add to what you're saying, Lucy, and I'm going to pick up on a lot of what you've said. I think the impact of listening to just even the surface of what you scratched on is really significant. And I know as a person with epilepsy, it really does bring a lot of challenges to one's life. And I just want to take a step back and say, so remind everybody what epilepsy is, because I think we also always assume that people know what epilepsy is. So in its simplest form, outside of a neurologist describing it, Epilepsy is a neurological disorder that occurs in one or more lobes. And we have various types of seizures that fall under, now they're classified as general seizures. And the two most commonly known seizures is a tonic-clonic, where people know when you go very, very stiff and your eyes roll, whether it's for 30 seconds or it's for hours or for 30 minutes, that's referred to the tonic-clonic, also as a grand mal seizure. The second really one known is what we know of absent seizures, where when you're talking to somebody, you just space out and you can be gone for up to 30 seconds. And that is normally a tonic-clonic is far more, it's far more extended in time. But your absent seizures are where suddenly you'll miss out information. People and your friends socially might say to you, oh, Charlene, you don't listen. And that's taking moderation and feedback from people around you going, well, I do listen, and I do listen, but just understand X, Y, and Z. So that's like just, if I had to say to you what a grand mal or tonic-clonic is, the only way that I can explain it to anyone that doesn't have epilepsy is to say, if you stick your finger in a plug and you absolutely get an electric surge through your body, that is what a seizure feels like, except it's in the brain. So the brain has this enormous amount of electrical activity and surge through it, and the brain actually starts going into a shock response. That's the easiest way to describe it. It's very difficult for people because you can't see the brain. So that is also why epilepsy comes with so much unknown and generates so much fear. And we're going to get into that. So Helena, share with us. Tell us about Helena. Tell us why you're sitting here. Tell us about Helena and your story.
Yeah, so I have epilepsy. I didn't know until about 2 years ago, so I was diagnosed quite late. That's mainly because my youngest brother had some developmental disorders, and he needed obviously a lot more care. And I had fainting spells, as my biological parents called them, and they were sort of just ignored at first, and they thought I was anemic, which I was, but not the actual root of the issue. And I also used to be very spacey and ditzy, as they called it. I would stare off into the distance and just not pay attention according to them. And my eyes would flutter, sometimes my lips would move, and I'd miss out on little bits of the day. And it wasn't until I was admitted to a hospital that my doctor said I needed an EEG because I was having seizures. And I looked at him and I thought, I am not having seizures. I just go blind for a few seconds. I didn't take it seriously at first. And then they said that I was having temporal lobe focal seizures. And I didn't know what it was. So that's how my journey with epilepsy started.
Okay. Now, you've touched on an interesting point, which I wanted to speak about quickly and touch on. Lucy also did, on diagnosis. Now, diagnosis, there was a misnomer that only a neurologist could diagnose epilepsy. Now, if we reflect for a moment in South Africa, we only have a couple of hundred neurologists with a population of 60 million around there as citizens. So if we stop and think, there are hundreds of people that are relying on a single neurologist, and then we go into only 16 to 18% have access to medical aid. So, but there is access in public hospitals to general practitioners, to nurses. And how we know and how epilepsy is diagnosed, it doesn't only have to be an EEG that Helena's referred to or an MRI. If you've had 2 or more seizures, a medical professional as a GP or a nurse will be able to identify with the diagnosis as epilepsy. So it's very, very important. If you start these symptoms, or you start finding yourself, like Helena said, she was called spacey, she was called ditzy, she wasn't aware, she wasn't present. And I'm sure Lucy can weigh in on that as well. I know I certainly can. I have had an excess of 60 grand mal seizures in the last 4 years, and we've all focused so seriously on that. Having started my epilepsy when I was 8 years old, so I've had many, many, many seizures through the years. But the last few years, and we've stopped really focusing on the absences, but still under management, because we've had to get the big seizures under control. So what I want to talk about is the importance of early diagnosis. Now, we've heard, Helena, that you were formally diagnosed only 2 years ago, but you've lived with other neurological disorders. So if you reflect back, talk to us about how far back you've been experiencing these symptoms, and talk to us about things you've learned from that journey.
Okay, so I remember probably the earliest memory of having my first space out is what my parents called it. I was probably around 4. My youngest brother had just been born, and I sort of just drifted off at the breakfast table. And my mom said, "Oh no, she's speaking to the angels again." And I was back, and it was like nothing happened. And there wasn't really much education in my family about what was happening to me at the time. And I lived with these space outs for the rest of my life up until now, and never really knowing what it was until I took myself and got diagnosed.
So, you know, I come from a medical family, so there's been a deeper amount of understanding from when it first started. But I can only imagine how difficult it is, and I'm going to hear from Lucy now, how difficult it is when you followed that journey, Helena, and how misunderstood you feel, and how you would have got really disciplined because you were seen as a naughty child, or that you didn't listen, or you weren't doing your schoolwork, because let's be honest, it starts impacting your studies, it starts impacting your seizures, impact your memory, impact your ability to focus. So all that starts developing. And just some facts, one big seizure takes a month to recover from, just to give you a frame of reference in terms of what your brain is actually going through when this current has gone through it. Lucy, talk to us about this topic. Just weigh in, tell us. I can
Like
see
I
you
mentioned,
going, yes, yes, yes.
as I mentioned that I was 18 when it started, and it was just a thing. Like I'm hearing Helena saying they called it space something, so we would just call it a thing. And then I remember how I grew up with my aunt's daughter. We were the same age, my cousin. So they would think I want attention because I would not be able to explain what's going on. I just fell down, or I was playing and I got injured and I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how I got the injury. That was very stressful. And every time I have to explain that I don't know what happened, I stood up and I found myself like this, or they'll talk to me. And I used to have the space out things also. And I would just stare blankly at a wall. My teachers would also tell my parents that this person would look at a wall and just look and not blink and not do anything. What is wrong with her? Something is up. Maybe she's hiding something. Maybe she did something because she's not concentrating in class. It's not nice when that keeps being reported about you. That thing is, it's definitely not nice. Because I remember when I was in grade 8, um, would I would go to school, maybe in the morning I'll start having fever, and then there's no one in the house. So the nearest safe place is school. I can't be at home on my own. I need to be around people. So I would go take a walk. It was a long walk. So I would be falling the entire time until I get to school. And then when I get there, I'm dirty. The teachers don't understand what's going on because I also cannot explain. So it will be like, no, you don't want to be in school, or you just late and you are lying. That was very stressful for me as a teenager, and it was very hard. So when I got diagnosed, when now I had letters, when I now had like things to refer to, that it became better. It became better to explain to the teachers, to my friends, my family, even though some people would still not understand, because I was also not understanding some of the things I'm hearing now. All these years, 15 years living with epilepsy, I did not know the type of um, seizures that I was having. It's like now when you are explaining them that I realize, oh, I suffered both. Like I suffer from both of them. But I honestly didn't know. I did not know that. So I'm learning even now. It's something that you have to learn every day and continuously teach people around you, continuously teach your family, your friends. It's something that you learn like and research on continuously. You can't say you now know or now it's managed or now it's controlled. You need to, because sometimes it can just come out of the blue. Maybe you are too happy or too, because you know the triggers can be like too much excitement, anger. It can just happen at
Yeah.
any time. Yeah, because even I don't know if we're gonna touch this. Even the part where I was not told, because I attended a public hospital after I got diagnosed. I went back to the public hospital. So I was not even told the part where you don't drink alcohol, you don't take drugs. And when I did my first year at UL, that was in 2012. When you are free, you're thinking you are free. Like, yeah, I started experimenting a lot. I started drinking, smoking, and then like the worst happened. I think it was a seizure, but it took longer. It took hours because I remember it was Saturday, and then the next, when I was aware, now I don't know what was happening the entire time, but when I was now aware, now I'm seeing the people in front of me were my last memory is Saturday, and then the next thing is Monday morning when my mom is at school. And that is when I decided I'm not gonna drink alcohol. So I learned the hard way. Even now, when I see someone, maybe somebody tells me I'm epileptic, and I'm like, don't take drugs, don't drink. I learned the hard way, the hardest of ways. Yeah.
Yeah, Lucy, I'm going to jump in, just picking up a few points, is that education, and Helena mentioned this as well. Education is critical to understand epilepsy, because the more you understand yourself, the more you can share with your loved ones, with your friends, with that your inner circle and your greater circle. So the beauty about these webinars and having conversations about lived experience is just that you're able to go, this is my experience. We have a plethora of information on our website under resources. Please go and download. There's beautiful PDFs there in terms of how to manage a seizure, what is epilepsy. We're going to get into some of the myths about epilepsy soon as well. But, you know, education is so important. And one of the things I've learned is really, I need to teach people continually because people are really scared. And I'm very blessed the last 4 years. I don't know if either of you are, because that sounds so weird, blessed, but I have auras now. So I've got about 20 seconds to know when a seizure is coming. And it's so ridiculous that I can be sitting in a restaurant, grab my handbag, be sitting with someone saying, I'm going to have a seizure, I'm going, keep me on my side, make me safe, I'll be back. But that stage, I've got, what have I got? I've got myself on my side, my knees are bent, I've made sure I've got something under my head. And this applies to any of you that are witnessing someone have a seizure that hasn't had an aura. And keep them on their side. The fallacy of many years ago, people used to put a spoon or grab a finger into somebody's mouth to keep the tongue. Let me tell you something. You don't want to be bitten. We're going to bite you. Not because we are animals.
And very hard.
We go into complete spasm. Remember, the brain is a spasm. Everything goes tight. So why do you put a person with epilepsy having a seizure on the side? Because physiologically, your tongue will fall to the side, keeping your airways open. So what happens is naturally the person is breathing. And what's very important during seizures is to keep talking to the person, because believe it or not, most people having a seizure can actually hear you and can afterwards, not word for word, but can certainly recollect afterwards the reassurance of Lucy, come back, you safe, that rhetoric. The other thing you really jumped into, Lucy, which I'm going to ask Helena to expand on, is substances. So alcohol, different drugs, nicotine, and that becomes a really interesting conversation for me. It's all interesting, but that becomes interesting because how socially, as young people that are peer pressured anyway, does one manage when you've got a neurological disorder or condition like epilepsy? How do you deal with that emotionally? Because that comes with a tremendous weight. So before I hand it to and just ask Helena, the alcohol does trigger seizures. Epilepsy is an uncontrolled space. Alcohol can trigger sleep, and substance abuse can absolutely trigger as well. And any of that. So when you're having seizures, you want to maintain as healthy lifestyle as you possibly can, because that is influencing your brain health. And that is, the doctors are then being able to say, okay, you don't drink, you don't take extra drugs, you don't you're not smoking, as an example, and we'll get into other lifestyle choices. But Helena, do you just want to jump in here on the substances, yeah, you're nodding, so you've been exposed.
I have, yeah, I am normal, believe it or not. As a first year uni student, I was undiagnosed. I didn't know any better. I experimented, and I learned my lesson. I then, after a couple of years, I drank alcohol for a little bit, and it's not, my absence seizures increased, and I realized it's not for me. And
Absolutely. And I
substances,
think,
I also don't. Yeah.
yeah, you've got to be so careful. You've got to be so careful. Lucy, I heard you also say that your seizures increased when you were smoking or you were taking drinking alcohol.
Yeah, I experimented, like Helena says, first year student, and yeah, it was terrible. I don't want to lie. It was terrible. That is where, and now my parents didn't know the lifestyle that I was living in university, and now they were called by my friends that, your daughter is here, she's doing stuff that we don't understand. You must come fetch her. And it was hard for me, but then I stopped drinking. Then I did go back again, because you're a young person, you get invited to parties or brunches, just a glass of wine, that one. But then the alcohol tolerance of an epileptic person, I think it's very, very low. So I stopped. I recently stopped altogether, because it's not for me also. Because even if I take, let's say, even if I say, I used to count. Now I'm like, I can't go over 2 glasses. I have to drink 2. That's it. I would be like drunk more than everyone else in the room, as if I've drank like 4 for all of them. But then I was in that moment, I was like, no, this is not for me. The alcohol tolerance is not okay. And when you drink now, you can't mix it with your medication. You're trying to be smart, but you're not smart, because I'd be like, let me not drink medications tonight, or let me drink them early. Let me know, you're no longer sticking to your routine, because you want to accommodate being social, being able to drink alcohol. So those are the things that made me stop drinking. Because if I don't take my medications, I'm definitely going to have a fit.
And you're leading into something straight away there, Lucy. And I'm going to just say, just give you a heads up. When your seizures are under control and you haven't had seizures for a certain amount of time, I'm fine, I haven't had seizures for so long, I'm going to stop my medication. Or even somebody that is on medication, don't want to actually acknowledge that you are reliant on these drugs to be healthy. And I can just say, I've done it many years ago. I've done it when I'm not absolutely fine. I haven't had a seizure for a while. I'm off the drugs. And what do you think happens? I had seizures.
I also
Have
had
seizures.
I
And
had
and
seizures.
but we do it because we don't want to take drugs. Who wants to take drugs twice a day, every day of their life? But if you are choosing life, you are choosing to be there for your family, your friends, your kids, your partner, whatever it is. You want to work, you want to earn a living. You need to be consistent with taking your meds. And if you are not an adult or a teenager, you are rebelling, you need to get help. The family needs to get help to go, we need to be explaining what is happening here, because the reality, you will fail at school. Your marks will plummet and you will get sick. And when you're not taking medication, you're having seizures, you are at risk of brain damage. The more seizures you have, the more it affects different parts of your different parts of your brain. I'm just seeing somebody just comment in the Kulakani says, I remember one of my clients once told me that he would have uncontrolled seizures when he had a hangover, because alcohol can actually the effects of medication. So you have to be responsible. I want to tap in. I also see Helena, you nodding. So I always want to add to what we're talking about.
No, it's just how we talk to our students is you nod to make sure they know that you're listening. Otherwise, they think you're ignoring them. Sorry.
Yeah. And I think, what do I think? I know that emotionally, this is very, very hard. And I was chatting to Helena just before we joined, and I was saying, I've become who I am today by embracing my epilepsy. And up until 10 years ago, I never spoke about my epilepsy. There was so much stigma around it that even coming from a family that was open about it at home, I never spoke about it. And Lucy's touched on that stigma already that she experienced. And I'd love both of you just to share experiences with that, because we know what epilepsy is not. Epilepsy is not a spirit possession. Epilepsy is not, does not require exorcisms. Epilepsy is a neurological disorder. So yeah, talk to me about those things, the stigmas that and the experiences you've had.
I'm just going to touch on that as I don't know if this will seem, I'm not being racist, guys. I'm Black. We know we do those things. So when I first started having the seizures, people would say, you need to go see a traditional doctor. You need this. Everybody had a say, and somehow, obviously, my parents would just fall in. And I remember we went to some traditional healer. She just opened my eyes, checked, and then I'm not disrespecting anyone. I'm not disrespecting this traditions, but I remember she checked me and said I was already on medication. And she said, continue taking your medication. And they gave me like a 2 liter of medication, or I don't know what it was, but it was plants and stuff. Then we came home. I drank that 2 liter. I tried. Okay, I tried. I did not want to. I really did not want to. I remember I would be so sad in the morning. That thing was bitter. It was sour. It was everything I did not want to do, but I had to do it because I did not want to disappoint my parents, and I did not want to disrespect people who were coming with their inputs, because that's how they showed support. And then they sent uh, another batch of medication. I thought they'll just send a 2 liter, but now they send a 20 liter of that bitter medication. And now I had to drink with a cup in the morning. I remember I would drink and drink. I drank for like 2 weeks or so, and it became more bitter, more obviously it's not preserved. It's just in the house. It's not in the fridge or wherever. It's not preserved, and you can taste that it's getting, it's something is happening, it's fermenting or something. But then I remember begging my mom, like, no, I can't do this. I had to gather so much strength. I did not know how they'll react, but when I went to them, they did not force me. So having understanding parents and like they say that education is key. That is very important. I think that's what helped me and my family to not fall into these things. Because people would tell me stuff, go to this prophet, go to this pastor, go. You experience a lot of things when you are epileptic. When I was having appointments, I think I was 13, 14. I During that time when I was waiting for my appointment to get checked, or my appointment to, I don't know, but it was during the time when I was waiting for, it was a waiting period or something. I went to visit my aunt, and I was bathing. I was putting the kettle. I put the kettle on. I heard there's a myth that if you get bent, you won't get healed. So my sole goal was, I don't want to get bent because I need to be healed of these things. I don't want to be bent by hot water or by fire. I don't want to be bent. And then on that day, I got bent, like on my thighs. The first thing that I thought of was not, you know, you got bent or whatever. The first thing that came to mind was, I got bent. It means I will never be healed because I got bent. I was carrying the kettle and a jar. I'm not pouring water into a jar, and then I had a fit. Then the water bent me on my thighs. The first thing that I recall when I stood up was, this means I'll never get healed, because that's what people kept saying. But as time went by, I learned that it's not like that. If it's not curable, it's not curable. In some kids, it does get curable, but I don't know. But then in I was already I was already 14, 15. I was already older. So if it's not curable, it's not curable. It's not about being bent or not being bent. But those are the things that I had to deal with. Even now, some people, when I was posting the webinar posters, some of the people that I went to school with commented like, "Are you still sick? I thought by now you are a sangoma or something, so that you accept the thing that it's a calling. You have a calling." Oh my God, you do not know what I had to go through, and now
Yeah,
you're saying it's
there's,
yeah.
yeah, there's a couple of points you're raising here, and I think just, yeah, you've had a huge experience in this regard, and there are a lot of myths about epilepsy, and one of the things you're saying, it can be cured. Can it be cured? It's not curable. It's not curable. Epilepsy will remain with you. You might go dormant, but when you have had epilepsy or you've had seizures, it will go dormant. You might go for many years, and then the doctors will wean you off your meds, and then suddenly something happens in your life and you have seizures. Epilepsy, it doesn't disappear. You're always at risk of seizures, and I think that's very important to know. Helena, you being quiet now.
Sorry.
Share. How's your family responded? How you mentioned your brother, your younger brother, and a little bit of what he lives with, but how's your family? I know my siblings, to share with you. I battled at school. I battled with seizures. My marks plummeted. And in essence, they had a special needs sister. So that's what they had to deal with. And it's only in recent years that my own siblings have learned about epilepsy. It's only in recent years that my youngest sister got on a webinar and actually spoke about having a sibling with epilepsy. So it's very interesting. Helena, just share with us.
So,
Can I ask?
like I said earlier, I mentioned my biological parents. I actually haven't lived with them for quite some time. There was some things that happened, life happens. And I started living with another family, and they helped me get the help that I needed.
Okay. And there's obviously very private things that happen
Yeah,
there.
so
And that,
they accepted my epilepsy. They were very kind about it, very supportive. My brother actually, when we go out, he knows hospitals, ambulances, doctors' numbers, and he hands it out like sweets to everyone. If something happens to her, this is who you phone, this is what you do. So it's actually quite funny.
but it's important. Raising awareness is so important. It's one of the cornerstones of Epilepsy South Africa, is to raise awareness, and that's what these webinars are on. Lucy, I'm going to come back to you because you also were chomping to say, somebody's just asked, never had a seizure, been put on, was diagnosed because of other issues. Can they just stop their meds? Is it safe or not? Medical advice. What I can speak to a medical practitioner and ask, because there's often a lot more going on. So just be careful. Don't just ever just stop your meds. And can meds cause epilepsy? Again, it's a medical question. Epilepsy can start from for a number of reasons. For example, if somebody has a brain injury or head injury from rugby, or has taken a very serious hit to their head with a cricket ball, and you've been concussed, epilepsy can develop from that. So brain injuries definitely cause epilepsy. There's a number of causes of epilepsy. 6% of people are at risk of having epilepsy genetically, very, very minuscule amount if you listen to that number. So yeah, the causes of epilepsy are also varied. And there's also, like one of the girls said, they said you're on a concoction. Lucy mentioned, I think, that you always feel like a guinea pig because you suddenly get used to this medication. So they switch to another medication, and you're like then unstable for a while, and then you stabilize again. So Lucy, you were jumping up to jump in there. Jump. What were you going to say?
I wanted to ask you, Shali, how how's the relationship with you and your sibling? Are you the older sister? Like, I wanted to know that because I'm the older sister, and sometimes I'm being treated like a baby in the house.
I think, Lucy, it's such a valid question. With pleasure. Yeah, there comes a mollycoddling, right? That everybody is very scared of losing you or of your seizures. I mean, my children have seen me had seizures and had to go to trauma counseling. So it's my siblings have struggled. My siblings have needed support. And as I've got older, they also, I've got systems in place where they know how to move to. I've put things in place, and I have to do a lot of reassurance, Lucy. I have to go, let that I'm looking after myself. And my lifestyle choices are right. I don't drink. I don't smoke. Certainly I don't take recreational drugs. What I do is my sleep hygiene is exceptionally good. And my family will know and be checking in on those things all the time. I exercise very regularly. So everything is geared towards brain health. And what's happened is siblings have learned a lot about those things and the importance of that. So yeah, they do mollycoddle. They live in a state of fear of, oh, when's she going to have a seizure? And are we going to lose her? Because people do pass away from seizures. And for a variety of reasons. And it's hard because people can't see it. So your loved ones do definitely live with a level of fear for you, Lucy. And there's nothing you can do to take that away. It's part of living with a neurological disorder, and your loved ones do struggle. But the more you know about it, the more you can talk about it, the more you share how you're feeling, that are you coping? Are you okay? What additional support do you need? You've got to bring those dialogues into your family, into your partner, and give them the skills. As an example, my family's got a 911 WhatsApp group. So if I'm up, I'll just type help. If at the minute I feel I'm at risk, I'll type help. And they're all in different spaces. I'll type help, I'll pop my live location on so that if I'm in a public place, one of them can get to me or know where I'm at. And I'll hit dial and leave my phone on loudspeaker. So there's different mechanisms, and that also creates a safety for your family, Lucy. It enables your family to go, we know how to support this, because otherwise they fly and never know what type of support you need. Like, you don't want to be mollycoddled.
Yeah, it's something
So
that I do not like.
I'm the eldest of 4 siblings plus 3 step siblings. So there's 7 of us grown up together. So it's a big family. Yeah, so I think what I wanted to ask both of you, and I see somebody's got their hand up, but I don't know where it is. So yeah, Lindy, Lindy, I'll answer, just rather type it in the chat. It's easier. All right. How have you really been affected emotionally, to both of you? How have you found this journey from a mental health space? Have you battled depression? Have you battled, Lucy, I heard you earlier saying you became really pulled away and introverted. Helena, how's you working with special needs children? How's that impacting you? So just share if you don't mind. I know it's quite personal, but if you can share.
Yeah, it's scary. It does bring you a lot of anxiety because sometimes you don't know, when am I going to have a seizure again? And luckily I do have auras now, but a few years back I didn't, and I actually fell down the stairs and I had a glass in my hand and the glass cut me and I bruised my ribs. It was a whole story. But now with my students, the older ones, they know if I have a grand mal seizure, I just faint, but someone needs to turn me on my side, call the nearest staff member, and I'll be fine. But obviously with the little ones, it's a bit harder. So I have a little alarm, like a doorbell alarm on my lanyard. So I just click that and then someone will come running.
And how have you managed emotionally? What have you gone through?
So yeah, that's been tough. I battled with depression after I was diagnosed for a little while because I didn't really understand what it meant to have epilepsy. I thought, oh, I'm not going to have a life now. I'll never be able to go out. I can't work. I can't study. And I thought my life was over. But obviously that's not the case. It does get better. You get better. I'm a lot better now, but I did go through a whole lot of therapy. So yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's my connection. It might be the way you've unfrozen,
Oh
but
gosh.
no, you're fine. Don't touch anything.
Okay.
Yeah, Lucy, what do you want to just add to that?
I think I did suffer from depression. I can't say it's in the past because it comes and goes. And also that I think that the thing of feeling helpless, when you the little things that people don't even worry about, like crossing the road, it's a problem for me. Crossing the robot is a problem for me. I don't know when will I just walk into the road and get an attack, or so. For like, I have fears, this small fears that a normal person wouldn't have them. Let's say maybe I go to visit a friend or something, because I really don't go out. I don't go to weddings. I don't attend those things. So if I go to a friend's house and then they give me, because I have an experience where I broke a glass at a family's house, and then at that time it was before I knew I'm epileptic. So if somebody gives me water or something with a glass, I get I get like I'll start having fears that I might drop that. That's not something that a normal person would have fears for. So emotionally, it has impacted me a lot. You worry about the littlest of things, like things that do not matter. to you, they matter a lot. Because if I say now I'm going to a wedding and I go there, I don't know if that day I'll have a fit or not. And I definitely don't want to be embarrassed in front of people, because that's how I feel after I have a fit. I feel embarrassed, I feel ashamed, I feel like I love control. I love being in control. So in that moment, you're not in control and you can pee yourself. If you're epileptic, I know I used to pee myself when I get fit. So those things make me not want to go out, because I don't know when will it happen again. Even though it's been so long since it happened, but I still fear the same things. Like, what if it happens? What if I go there and it happens? I don't want to be the center of, you know,
I want to,
attention or that.
I want to encourage you to live. I completely identify with what you're saying. And if you're controlled and you haven't had seizures for a number of time, and even if you know, be responsible. And if you know that loud noises and going to a place where there's a big party going and you're going to be overstimulated, take that quieter space and have smaller engagement with smaller groups of people. But, you know, I can say to you that it is scary living with epilepsy, and I can absolutely, like, really, I get it. But I am today because of my epilepsy. And I do wet myself when I have seizures, and it is embarrassing. And I love being in control. You see, the same as you. But you know what? Don't ever think that every person without epilepsy, it doesn't have epilepsy, isn't living with a fear of some sort and dealing with their own things. Our passenger is epilepsy, but find mechanisms to go with somebody who can keep you safe. And go, if it's your partner or it's a friend that knows, educate them and say, I'm scared. I feel like I'm going to be at risk. And make sure you're well rested. Make sure you've had an to that day. Make sure mitigate as much as you can, but please don't hibernate, because it's going to create more challenges for you from depression and anxiety. And the bigger that gets, the more you want to stay home. You want to be able to go to your children's sports events. You want to be able to engage. Yeah, absolutely a space to pick up afterwards if you want, and just chat through with absolute pleasure, Lucy. But I wanted to ask Rafilwe is asking, you know, I was going to definitely just say this at the end, because we're going to nearly come to a close, is that stigmatism is real. However, as a person with epilepsy, you need to stand up and be counted, and you need to be able to speak about it. It really is important. I will always wear a bracelet. I will have a contact person's name on it. I will put there that I have epilepsy and the drug that I'm on, because you never know when you're going to be on your own and when somebody's going to need to call someone. And so doing that, and you can go to our website. In our store, we've got beautiful, beautiful bracelets, ranging in price, that can be engraved for you. And it really, really is important. I encourage every single one of you to do that. The advice that I can just give to everybody who is struggling with epilepsy, and families that struggles, is really just educate yourselves, and like take the time, like all of you are here today, listening to the three of us talking about our lived experiences, because you're going to be going away today with really going, so what those ladies are battling with, that's real. And we don't need to have bitter drinks. We don't need to be treated differently. We need to be treated with care. We need to be understanding. We need people to give us the space to share our experiences. And we need to take responsibility where we can say we'll talk about it. And we need to say, I will talk about this and I will share this experience with you, because I can help you. Even today, Helena and Lucy, one person that leaves this webinar with an aha moment from one of you, you've changed a life. And that is what every single person that joins is offering as a gift to each of us when we're speaking about our experiences, because they're going to help the whole process. And you just drop a stone in water, there's one ripple, and you never know how far out that goes. So Helena, last comments from you. You've had so much, and you've shared so much, and I'm so grateful. Yes, last
Yeah,
comment.
I think I learned a lot today. I think most people, I hope everyone did. I know I did. Especially sleep hygiene is something that I need to work on a lot. Still studying, late nights, early mornings. Definitely need to have a look at that.
Yeah. Lucy, any closing comments?
I've shared a lot of things that I said, but then I just want to say we are not defined by epilepsy. We can still go for our dreams. I know I'm going for my dreams. I know I'm working hard towards them. I write during those times where I'm not going out to people. I write. I have 2 short stories that are published, so it's possible to be you and win in life. It's possible. It doesn't mean when you're epileptic you cannot do those things. You can
No.
still do dreams. You can still do great things. So, and I'm thankful to Epilepsy SA. You guys have been there since I think since I was 18. The first time I came in contact with Epilepsy SA was when I was like 18. I was in matric. I was trying to apply for the fund. I remember I made so many mistakes. I didn't get it. But then later in life, I did apply and I got in. So I'm thankful to Epilepsy SA. Even my first job, I got it via Epilepsy SA. So I'm really thankful for this platform. I'm thankful to this organization.
And that's what I wanted to say to all of you, join us as a member. You just go onto our membership, our support group on Facebook. We have lots of posts there, lots of information. There's a lot of dialogue between everybody where you can get support, whether you have epilepsy or you're a family member. You need the support. I mean, when you have a partner who doesn't understand epilepsy, your partner needs support, because they play a different role. And there is so much that a partner can do, but you learn from each other and chatting to each other as partners, to each other's partners. So yeah, I think just keep engaging and keep chatting. But really, the membership space with us enables us to push information to you, to share publications, to really enable and remind you and give you constant information. So just link in with us in that regard. We've got some amazing projects on hand. We have a young gentleman also who falls in epilepsy and youth, and he's doing the Camino walk with epilepsy for the Educational Trust later this year. So yeah, we'll absolutely just do let you all know about that as well. So you can just link in with us as members, because there's so much exciting work going on. We've been going since 1967. So to hear Lucy say how long we've been supporting her, that's the value and that we bring. And again, we're in 6 provinces. So if you need support, you need a loved one that needs to be looked after in a care center, reach out to one of your branches. We're in Free State Northwest, we're in Gauteng, we're in 6 of the provinces. So please do. And on that, I just want to say, you have epilepsy. It's not a life sentence. Having epilepsy is just something you need to deal with. And there's so much help and there's so much hope. And don't be scared to not study or not cross the street or not live, because you can, but just put all the safe measures in place. So keep living, keep igniting your potential, and just keep going. And just to close off and say, if you've got lots of questions, ask us on our support group. I couldn't answer everything today, but just know you can, because you are. So, ladies, Helena and Lucy, thank you so much for joining us today. I know it's always daunting speaking in public about your epilepsy, but big heart to both of you, and for everybody joining us today, thank you, and have a beautiful rest of your day.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.